What's going on, my broskies? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video. And in this video, we're going to be doing our preparation for the upcoming Kizuna Clash versus Garp. Now, this Kizuna Clash that we're going to be talking about, we're not talking about the super boss in this video. This is just pertaining to the generic regular Kizuna Clash. So make sure to stay tuned, because I'm not too sure if I'm going to be able to fill in a video for the super boss teams. I'm sure that when it eventually releases, I'll bring you guys a couple of videos regarding the super boss. But I think it's more important that we talk about the generic Kizuna, and the reason why I say that is because the generic Kizuna, the 10-star difficulty, is the only part of the Kizuna that actually counts towards the World Clash event that is currently ongoing for the worldwide anniversary celebration. Unfortunately, the super boss, which is one of the most exciting parts of Kizuna in general, does not count towards our World Clash point system. So while the super bosses are a lot of fun to take part in, it's actually going to be more important to focus in on the generic Kizuna if you want to earn more points for the World Clash. Just want to get that out of the way before we start the video, just so that you guys know that, because it's going to be important, obviously, because I know a lot of people are going to go in for these super bosses, but you actually have to take a little bit of notice for the generic Kizuna for World Clash if that's what you want to do. So in this video, we're going to go through all the variations of the 10-star difficulty and give you guys a couple of different teams that can take all of them on. We'll also go through a one team versus all that should be able to take on all the difficulties without having to change any units around, so that'll be towards the end of the video as well. Alright, so jumping into the first boss is the versus int boss, where you want to build a team, obviously, that is predominantly Sai, but also focuses on fighter, free spirit, and strikers. On battle 2 of each of these Kizuna fights, there's actually a lot of gimmicks, and from what we've seen over the past few months with Kizuna, typically the stage 2 boss actually has a lot of HP, anywhere in the realm of 5 to 10 million HP, so it is actually highly advised that you have some type of damage dealing special or something that can give you enhanced damage on that stage. So on battle 2 here, you can see that there's 8 turns of despair, which goes down to 5 turns with your sockets and 2 turns of special bind, and then on the final stage there's full immunity, random type slots. The effect here is that for 10 turns, all Sai slots are counted as neutral slots. So even if you have a full board of Sai slots on your Sai characters, it actually doesn't count it as a matching slot. So it means in order to get matching slot effects on your Sai characters, you actually want to change them into something else, whether it be Wano, Rainbow, Super Bomb if you're running a team like that, Recovery, Tandem, something like that. Something that is not a type slot is what you want to be doing. Or if you have another slot and treat it as beneficial, that is also going to work too. There's also 5 turns of threshold damage reduction, 5 turns of defense up, and on after level 31 there is an additional turn of threshold going up to 6, and there's going to be 2 hits of hunger after level 31. So the team you're looking at here is going to be our Gol D. Roger team. We have the Rayleigh as a sub here because he gets around some of those defensive effects, and he also gives us a color affinity boost. Also, the special of Robin gets around the rest of the rest of the defensive effects, and the support of the Mr. One and Miss Doublefinger provides a chain boost, but also gets around like other defensive effects as well. Like it's just a perfect way to get around a lot of these effects. Don't really need it if you're using Rayleigh and Robin together. You don't actually need that at all, but you know, it's nice to get a little bit of that either way. The Chopper on this team gets around the special bind that occurs on stage 2. Now the Despair, obviously we can remove it just with Gol D. Roger as our captains, and with his super type we can get a full board of matching slots as well. That in tandem with Yamato, we can get the Wano slots as well as the really good chain boosting effects. Unfortunately, there is full immunity, so you can't really use a generic conditional boost unless if it goes through immunity, and also you can't inflict increased damage taken, which is a bit of a shame. And obviously with Gol D. Roger special, you have huge damage output as well. Rayleigh gives color affinity boost, and you know, it's not the most impressive team, but it is a team that can get through probably, you know, quite a fair few levels of the generic Kizuna. But obviously you can use a different friend captain and hybrid it up with something else if you want to go ahead and do that too. So you'll be seeing towards the end of the video we actually have a really good hybrid, but anyways, this is just one particular team that can get through the int variation of this fight. The next team variation is going to be using Film Red Snakeman Luffy alongside the addition of Sabo and Ace, who's going to be a really strong unit because their special ability will remove all the debuffs that occur on Battle 2 by themselves, and because we have a Luffy on the crew, they actually provide a 3-turn 2.5 orb boost, I believe it is, to shooters and free spirits. So that's really cool. So you can technically carry that over to the next stage. And then on the final stage, we have obviously these Snake Man Luffy specials. So when we can use these special abilities, and then the specials of Shanks and Jinbei will both reset the Luffys. So we're going to be able to get the full board of matching slots, the huge attack boost, huge orb boosting buffs, or if we still have the orb boost from Sabo and Ace, that will be amplified, which is fantastic. But another really cool thing here is that the Jinbei and the Shanks actually remove a lot of the defensive effects. Shanks removes all the threshold, Jinbei removes all the defense up. Another thing about Jinbei is that he does a really good damage reduction effect, which works perfectly with using versus Yamato, who will be able to grant us the tandem and Wano slot and also give us the % damage reduction attack boost, so that with the special of Jinbei will allow us to get additional damage through that. So there's no color affinity on this team. You could use a support to give you additional color affinity, so there are a couple of ways around that, of course. So again, just giving you guys some more ideas against this fight. Alright, so now we're going to take a look at the second boss, which is versus Strength. So characters that are Dex, Sai, and Quick all receive cooldown. Battle 2, there is 5 turns of defense up and 2 turns of attack down. And the really cool thing here is that the free-to-play Uta actually gets around everything on this fight. I believe she does a defense down conditional boost, she gets around attack down, she removes the defense, she also grants a chain boost, so you can use that if you want. If you are going to use the Uta special in that stage, I would suggest to use one of the Luffy super classes first to get his chain boost over Uta's, and then obviously Luffy gives you a full board of matching slots, which actually works really good. So Uta is fantastic for this fight. And then on the boss stage, you get a full board of unfavorable slots, which again Luffy's super type will change them into recovery for us. There's also going to be 8 turns of bind on the left hand side of the team. So in this team comp, it will be Usopp, Uta, and the friend captain that are inflicted with the bind, which is why we have Komurasaki, because she can remove 5 turns of bind, and the support for this is very important, which is this Raizo. His Raizo is so good for this fight because he removes 1 turn of bind, and it goes to 6 turns of bind after level 31, so this support plus Komurasaki remove all of the turns of bind, and also after level 31 there is 5 turns of resilience, and this does end of turn damage. So if you're able to put this Raizo on your team, it makes this fight significantly easier. And we also have the Yamato as well, which can provide some additional buffs because she's one of the boosted units, so she has additional statistics, but also she can just remove additional bind as well. And when I say that removing bind, the Komurasaki removes despair. I say that she removes the bind, she actually removes despair because we get inflicted with 8 turns of despair. She removes the despair, gives a color affinity boost to our free spirit units. So the specials of Yamato, the Rayleigh support, and the Raizo support remove all the bind for us, so that it works perfectly. And then using 2 Luffy specials gives us an attack boost and an orb boost, and then of course Usopp and Yasop give us a conditional boost and some resistance down. So this is a really solid team, and I would expect this to do very crazy damage against this particular boss fight. So this team variation is something a little bit different, and we are utilizing this brand new Fujitora that we got during the treasure map. He's actually really good for this fight. It feels like he's kind of built for it because he allows you to enhance color affinity boosts, and then he does end of turn damage, which is very important. And if you have a powerhouse or a cerebral captain, he becomes the captain for 1 turn, and then you can activate his super type, which is great of course because you're just generating more damage, turning all of your quick units into super quick, but also providing a color affinity boost. So by using the special of Fujitora and then using his super type, all your characters gain super typing, but you also get a 2x conditional boost, and then you can remove the captain swap. So we can go ahead and switch Akainu back as the captain, and we're still going to have end of turn damage, and we're going to have a color affinity boost. Akainu special, of course, being able to give us a full board of slots, chain lock, and a huge orb boost. Whitebeard for a massive attack boost and chain boost. The support of Whitey Bay is pretty good here because it removes an additional 1 turn of bind. The Doflamingo removes an additional 5 turns of bind for the crew. The Whitebeard also removes the despair that will occur on this stage as well. Now, the only outlier character here is this Okiku, which is a treasure map rare recruit, so I don't expect a lot of people to have this, but the reason why this character is here is because it removes 5 turns of attack down and 5 turns of defense up. So this one unit by themselves removes all of the gimmicks that occur on Battle 2, and because Akainu doesn't really have reduced redundancy in his special, we can save 1 Akainu for stage 2, 1 Akainu for stage 3. So with this team, we actually have like a huge amount of damage, but it's not like the most optimal team out there. It does have some flaws, of course, and it's not the most damage outputting team you can use against this quest, but I thought, you know, we're going to try and use this new Fujitora, and you do need one of the admirals on the team in order to proc the super type, so it actually had great synergy with versus Akainu in general, so it's a pretty good team that can get it done. And now we can talk about the final boss, which is versus Dex. So Fighter, Free Spirit, and Cerebral all receive cooldown, and I felt like this was the most difficult team to build for. I felt like there wasn't really a lot of good strength Fighter, Free Spirit, or Cerebrals that kind of dealt with the gimmicks in this quest. Anyways, on stage 2, there's 5 turns of resilience, 2 turns of damage reduction, and then on the boss stage, there's full immunity, bomb slots, bind to your middle row for 8 turns, which becomes 9 turns after level 31, and there's 5 turns of damage threshold, which becomes 6 turns after level 31, and there's also 8 turns of despair inflicted to the crew as well. So there's like a lot of really annoying gimmicks here. So the way that I would plan to use this team is to use 1 Toki on stage 1 for 2 of your characters, just so you have damage on stage 2. And then on stage 2, you would use Toki again, your second Toki, on your 2 middle units, so that after level 31, you just don't have to worry about the 9 turns of bind that occur to your middle row. So in this team, the Crocodile and the Brook are going to be immune from the bind, so that's actually really good. The Crocodile on this team is very important because he with his own special will remove 5 turns of resilience and also 5 turns of rainbow shield, so he deals with everything on stage 2, which is great. The Brook for the final stage, he removes the despair that occurs after level 31, and he also gives us a chain boost, which is kind of nice. And then we also have the Chopper, which is very important. The Chopper will remove 5 turns of damage threshold, but we also have the support of Nami, which removes an additional turn of damage threshold, which removes the 6 total. And then we have Trafalgar Law, which is like kind of like an odd unit here, but the reason why we have him is because he changes the bomb slots that are given to the crew, but he also provides us with a chain boundary effect. So with this team, we're going to have chain boost from Brook, chain boundary from Law, the massive attack and all boost from Toki, and then also you have the color affinity from Toki's super type inflicted to the crew as well. So even though it's a kind of an unorthodox looking team, it should be able to deal with this quest pretty comfortably. It should do pretty good damage just due to Toki alone, but with all these additional specials allowing us to remove all of the gimmicks as well and getting good damage along the way. Alright, so this team is a bit of a weird one. Only 3 of the units are actually going to be having type advantage here, but we are still making sure that everyone receives the cooldown. Everyone on this team is Free Spirit, which is fantastic. On Battle 2, we can use the Law special, which gets around resilience, and then the Beppo support removes the 2 turns of Rainbow Shield for us. And then on the boss stage, due to the fact that we have both Yamato and Roger, we remove all the bind and the despair that gets inflicted to us completely. So the only thing we have to worry about is the 6 turns of damage threshold, which the Whitebeard deals with completely. He also gives us chain boundary, so with the Roger super type, we get a full board of slots. Odin obviously getting the Wano slots, and then we have Roger for the attack boost. We have the huge color affinity from Nami and Usopp, and then a chain boundary from Whitebeard and a chain boost from Yamato. So even though it is a bit unorthodox, it should also be able to deal with this pretty comfortably. The only thing that I would be somewhat worried about is Battle 2. I'm not too sure exactly how we are going to deal with that comfortably, so this might need a little bit of tweaking just to ensure that we have a damage dealing effect on Battle 2, because that could be a bit of a problem. But, you know, basically if this makes it to stage 3, this is going to go absolutely crazy in terms of damage potential. And then the final team that we're showing here is the one team versus all. Now, obviously, the friend captain here is not the exact unit you want to use. You want to be using the Makino and Whipslap character as a friend captain that is going to be appearing in the recent Kizuna Clash Sugo Fest. Their special is very good for this quest, as it gets around a lot of the different gimmicks that you're going to have to come up against in this quest. So the special that they have, it will go ahead and remove defense up, resilience, and despair all by 5 turns, and it changes bomb and type slots into recovery and gives your Free Spirit and Striker characters a 2.25 color affinity. So we're using that in tandem with this Luffy, which can give us an attack boost and an orb boost and a full board of slots. But remember, on one of the earlier fights, we have to deal with having non-Sai slots. So we have the Beppo, which can give us a full board of matching slots here. The Bobbin is going to be really good, essentially on every single variation of stage 2. The Makino will unfortunately have to be used on the second battle of the Int fight. We have the Brook, who he actually has hunger removal, which is very important, and he's free to play as well. But he also removes 6 turns of bind, which is something that we're going to have to deal with, and there's not a lot of characters that can straight up remove 6 turns of bind comfortably that actually work. In a one team versus all, Brook works comfortably here, and because of the way that Zoro works, remember, we need to have a tandem or a Wano slot on our captain in order to get the most out of the Zoro special. So Brook actually does shuffle some slots around into tandem, so we can put one of them on Luffy because it allows you to switch the slots around so that we can use the Zoro special whenever we need to. But obviously Beppo with double special launch, we can use one on stage 2, one on stage 3 if possible, and then we can get a full board of tandem slots, not even have to worry about those size slots not being what we want, right? So this team being a one team versus all, I think it's definitely one of the weaker one team versus alls that we've seen, but I'm sure there's going to be smarter people out there in the community that are going to be able to develop some pretty absurd teams that will be able to get the job done. Of course, if you end up pulling your own Makino and Dadan, if you have both of them, this Kizuna is going to be significantly easier. But it does all depend on how your pulls go, if you are pulling at all. So this is going to be a team that I'm going to use initially, but we'll see how things go throughout the entire Kizuna Clash. But that is pretty much going to wrap us up. So thank you very much for watching the video. Hopefully you guys did enjoy it. And if you guys did, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content that I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. On that, guys, I will see you guys within the next video.